Hi everyone, welcome back to the Caistrology channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Cailin, and today we're going to be looking at your October 2025 horoscope. You can watch your horoscope for your ascendant, sun, and moon sign. I do recommend that you watch all three if you've got the time, and this is a tropical Western astrology reading, just by the way. If you're wanting more regular astrological updates from me, then you can follow me on Instagram and or Facebook. It's the same handle, which is simply Caistrology. So a little bit of an update for you. I am going to be traveling for the whole month of October. So that means I'm not going to be available for private one-to-one astrological consultations. And just by the way, I'm a tarot reader as well. So I do offer tarot card readings. I'll be back in November if you're wanting to book in a private reading. So without further ado, let's get into your October horoscope. Hi fellow Gemini Sun, Moon and Risings, welcome to your October 2025 horoscope. As the month begins, Mercury, our chart ruling planet, will be transiting the sign of Libra, so that's literally for the first 7 days of the month, with Mercury going through the 5th house, which is associated with love, romance, children, as well as owning your own business. This can be a time where you are basically feeling more flirty, more charming, and maybe hitting the dating apps. On a different note though, this could be a time where you are communicating with your children, maybe more so than usual, especially if they are adults, and you could be thinking or talking about expanding your family further, starting a family and whatnot. Because the 5th house rules over owning your own business, a lot of your mental real estate could be taken up with thinking about starting your own business, Kickstarter programs, or if you own your own business, then it could be a very let's say creatively abundant time for you when it comes to the mercurial side of things, which means content creation. Think like posts, videos, reels, what you're doing with your website, or maybe even looking at throwing a course together. Now, on the 7th of October, Mercury is going to enter the sign of Scorpio in your 6th house. And this is a significant transit because it's going to be activating a grand water trine, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later in the horoscope, but hashtag it's a good thing. With Mercury going through the 6th house, there is going to be this focus for you on your work. What are you doing? What are your processes? If you have employees, then this is like, okay, I need to communicate with them. Maybe you're needing to get to the bottom of some kind of conflict, whether that's amongst your employees. In any case, the 6th house does rule over conflicts in our life and things that are out of balance. So Mercury going through the 6th house is like a problem-solving transit, and it's also a time of just like doing life admin stuff, getting around to mundane tasks. Plus, the 6th house is associated with health, diet, nutrition, and exercise. So with Mercury going through your 6th house, it could be a really transformational time for you on a health front and in terms of how you are approaching health and your daily habits and routines. Also on the 7th of October, there's going to be a full moon in Aries, and it will be at 14 degrees in your 11th house. It will be conjunct the fixed star Alpha, which is associated with freedom, romance, love, and it has the planetary nature of Jupiter and Venus, not to mention 14 degrees is the Taurus degree anyway. In any case, full moons are all about something reaching its peak, completion, fruition, or a culmination point. And I love that this is in the 11th house because to me, this portends being victorious in achieving some kind of long-term goal or dream of yours, because that is what the 11th house is responsible for in astrology. It also rules over things like awards, accolades, and basically receiving praise or some kind of public recognition for a job well done. So a full moon in your 11th house could indicate that you're like finally achieving some kind of goal that you've had or dream that you've had. And maybe this is in terms of your long-term financial goals. And for others of you, this could be finding out that you are successful in receiving something like a grant, a scholarship, or even positive news when it comes to things like pension and superannuation money and so on and so forth. The 11th house is also very much associated with your wider network and your community. So this full moon here conjunct this auspicious fixed star in astrology could indicate that you are basically being perceived as someone who is independent in nature, maybe someone who is very connected in an intuitive sense. Maybe you were just feeling really connected to people within your community, or you're receiving some kind of really positive feedback for some kind of creative project or pursuit that you have released out into the world. Now, on the 13th of October, Venus is going to enter the sign of Libra. So it's going to be transiting your 5th house. Love to see that, because Venus rejoices in the 5th house in astrology, which means it loves to be there. So this is positive in terms of love, romance, creativity, dating, and your existing relationship in and of itself. In those first 24 to 48 hours, Venus is going to oppose Neptune in your 7th house in Aries. It's also going to trine Uranus in Gemini in your 1st house, and also trine Pluto in Aquarius in your 9th house. Okay, so this is like super brief, but it's a grand trine in air signs, which I think is really, really positive for us air sign people. And ultimately, this to me indicates that there is some kind of green light or positive maybe sign, even from the universe, if you believe in that stuff, like me, which is pointing you in the right direction in terms of your life goals, your dreams for the future, something to do with starting your own business, something to do with your path in life, or even your relationship with your children, or your significant other if you are in a relationship. Even though it's fleeting, we can just say that it's a really creative time for you, and it's a really auspicious time for you if you are looking at pursuing something, starting something, or committing to something that has a creative nature to it, or that maybe even involves travel, spirituality, and anything to do with business, because we're looking at the air signs here. Now, on the 14th of October, Pluto is going to station direct in Aquarius at 1 degree in your 9th house. Is it a big deal? No, not really, because Pluto goes direct and retrograde every year. But I just thought it was worth mentioning, because around the 14th of October, especially because we've got that Venus trine, or that grand trine happening, maybe there's some kind of shift in your mindset in terms of your belief systems, and this could really be for the positive. So it could be like your approach or your mindset when it comes to your political beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, your religious beliefs, or maybe just your own understanding of how the world works and the interconnectivity of things that were, I guess, previously a bit of a gray area for you. It's like something's clicking into place around that 13th, 14th, 15th mark of October. And I think that something that has been eluding you, something that you have felt confused about, is finally going to write itself or present itself in a way that is like graspable. I'm just making up that. I'm making up words now. Anyway, let's move along. On the 20th of October, Mercury is going to form a conjunction with Mars in Scorpio at 19 degrees, and this will be occurring in your 6th house. So with this conjunction happening, of course, it involves your chart ruler, or should I say our chart ruler. And this is the first of 5 conjunctions that Mercury and Mars are going to make between basically then and March 2026. So this is kickstarting off a grand water trine, which is so exciting. And that is between Mercury and Mars in your 6th house, plus Jupiter and Cancer in your 2nd house, and then Saturn in Pisces in your 10th house. So these houses, the 2nd, the 6th, and the 10th, they're very much associated with work, resources, and being of service. So ultimately, this is indicating that something is going to shift for you and allow a lot more ease and flow in terms of your career, the daily work that you're doing, and the resources that you have in order to support yourself. This could indicate that there's maybe going to be a boost in your personal income, or just having access to much needed resources. And on a different note, this could indicate that you are maybe going to be committing to some kind of new habit, which is going to basically support you in terms of your health. So it's like maybe finally finding a rhythm or a routine that works for you. And for others of you, this could be in the workplace. So new systems, new processes, or maybe you are receiving news from your boss or from your workplace about how things are going to be going. Or how things are going to be set up going forward, and this could really positively support you. Also, the 6th house is very much associated with debts, loans, and conflicts. So to me, this grand water trine is indicative of overcoming some kind of major problem in your life or a conflictual situation. So maybe you're overcoming some kind of issue in a legal sense, if it involves like tribunals or representing yourself somehow. On a different note, this could be the paying off of a loan or receiving some much needed financial support or material support. And this could be the waiving of a fine or some kind of penalty. Now, on the 21st of September, there will be a new moon in Libra, and this will be occurring at 28 degrees in your 5th house. So new moons are all about planting the seeds, a new chapter beginning, and also it can be a really positive time for intention setting. So being really intentional about what kind of new chapter you're wanting to call into your life. So knowing this ahead of time is really positive, especially if you want to align these new intentions that you are setting with what the 5th house represents. So it's a great time to call in love and romance into your life. If you're single, if you're already in a relationship, then that can be looking at what kind of relationship you want to have with your significant other, or what direction you want to take that new relationship with. It's definitely a good time for you to start trying for a family if that's something that's on your agenda and that feels right for you. Plus, it's also a great time for exploring new business ideas, because the 5th house is very much associated with starting your own business. So even if you're not setting intentions per se, it could be that you have an exciting new concept or idea for a business that you do want to start or that you do want to pursue. And if you already own your own business, then this can be a look in at expanding your existing business in a new direction. And also the 5th house is very much related to hobbies and passions. So there could be a new creative project or artistic pursuit that you are wanting to follow or pursue, I dare say, around the 21st of October. With this particular new moon, it is squaring Jupiter in Cancer at 24 degrees and opposing Chiron in Aries at 24 degrees in your 11th house. So this is forming what we call a T-square. The square to Jupiter in Cancer in your 2nd house is indicative of perhaps having to invest or spend more money than what you wanted, especially if this is related to starting your own business or expanding your existing business further. Maybe this is looking at going down the route of IVF or surrogacy or freezing your eggs, right? So that 24 degree element relates to Pisces, and that can basically speak to a sacrifice, and that could be financial or in terms of your resources, or just spending more than what we wanted to spend, especially with the opposition to Chiron in your 11th house. It could be like I'm having to spend some of my money that I wanted to put towards one thing towards this thing, right? And obviously that is talking about how you go about expanding your family further. Okay, so even if you're looking at starting your own business or expanding that existing business further, again, I think that there's some kind of compromise that needs to be reached with respect to what you're spending on that, finances and resources, and maybe there's a little bit of a lack mindset that's happening there, although hopefully not. And moving along though, on the 22nd of September, Neptune is going to re-enter the sign of Pisces, which means it's going to be transiting your 10th house for the next 3 months, okay? Neptune only has 3 more months to go in the sign of Pisces, and for that whole time, it will be at 29 degrees, which is considered to be the critical anaretic degree in astrology. So this can indicate that you are maybe closing out an old chapter or cycle when it comes to your public reputation, your career. Okay, some of you may be looking at how can you go about retiring, closing out a business, maybe closing down a business, maybe saying goodbye to a career path that you've been on probably for years. And on a different note though, when Neptune goes through the 10th house and it finishes up its transit there, which, I mean, this is a 14-year transit that we are saying goodbye to, then this could literally be like you reinventing yourself, right? And really closing that chapter on how you used to present, how you used to come across, how you used to introduce yourself. And for others of you, this could be like, okay, I'm no longer required to be parenting actively, meaning maybe your children are moving out, or you feel like they're fully fledged adults now. And so, you know, to me, there's some kind of farewell process that's happening over the next few months, especially because Saturn is also going to be finishing up its transit through Pisces, and that started in September and will go through until February 2026. But you know, the next day we've got Scorpio season starting. And so what this means, Gemini, is that between the 23rd of October and the 29th of October, we have 6 planets in water signs activating your 2nd house, your 6th house, and your 10th house. So there's definitely a letting go, a closing out of a chapter or a cycle, but something is coming to a close with ease, right? And it's just about allowing that old chapter to fall away so that the new one can begin. And lastly, for the month, on the 29th of October, Mercury is going to enter the sign of Sagittarius, which means it's going to be transiting your 7th house. So Gemini, definitely watch out for whatever is happening in the month of October, because we're going to be entering that pre-shadow period of the Mercury retrograde, which is going to be taking place in November. So there's some loose ends that are going to need to be tied up in the month of November. So like I said, keep an eye out for whatever is transpiring this month. So Gemini, thank you so much for watching your October horoscope. If you enjoyed it, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content on this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook if you're wanting to see more astrological content from me in between these monthly horoscopes. Take care, Gemini, and I will see you guys next time.